HarperCollins presents The Storytellers by Sue Heath, read by Jane Slavin. Interlibrary Writing Competition. What's your story? As part of our centenary celebrations, we are launching our biggest writing competition yet. For this year only, the short story competition will be replaced with a collaborative project, a novella-length story. Can your writing group create a story that will capture our imagination? Large teams welcome, minimum 3 people. Themes: love, loyalty, lies. Choose one or combine. Prizes: first place. The winning story will be published and made available in all our libraries. All contributors will be invited to the centenary party. Extra funding will be made available to the winning library to improve their cafe area. Second and third place. Inclusion in the publication and an invitation to the centenary party. More information and rules can be found online or from your librarian. Chapter 1. Hattie. Don't judge a book by its cover. Hattie liked a competition almost as much as she liked a bourbon biscuit. That was partly why she'd returned to the library after her first rather nervous and disastrous visit. Because of the biscuits, that is, not the competition. On that first day, she had gone to the library not to read a book, but to find out how to use the computers. Her neighbour, Margaret, had given her the idea, and she'd not been able to shake it out of her head. Margaret had been whittering on to her friend about a website on the computer where you could trace people and find your ancestors. Hattie didn't have any ancestors she wanted to dig up. If she'd wanted them in her life, she wouldn't have been so careless as to lose them, would she? But she did want to find Peter. She'd pushed Peter right to the back of her mind after she had married Harold. He'd been filed away into a small, sealed box in her heart. Because that was what you had to do, wasn't it? But he had always been there, because banished had not meant forgotten. Hattie didn't make a habit of eavesdropping, and now she wasn't sure if she was glad that she had or not, because the more she thought about the fact that it might be possible to find him, the more important it had become. As she drank her cup of tea, her heart had pattered in a way it hadn't done for years. This could mark a turning point in her life, a chance to wipe out regrets, to wipe out the resentment of Harold that had grown over the years. Hattie hadn't got a computer, and she didn't want to ask Margaret for more information because she could be rather nosy. They all could be, where she lived in the retirement apartments. It was full of busybodies. They wanted to know your business, which, after a lifetime of being with Harold and shunning the rest of the world, "They're all stupid," he used to say, "stupid nobodies," was a step too far. And then she'd seen the poster about the library in the post office. Use it or lose it, it had said. It had also said, more importantly, that there were computers free to use. It was as though she was being sent a message telling her to do it. There were leaflets in libraries. They'd tell her what to do, and she'd be doing the community a favour, saving the library. Hattie's heart had started to beat so rapidly she'd walked out of the post office with the letter she'd wanted to post still in her hand, forgotten. The thought of using one of the machines and making a fool of herself had been quite daunting. But Hattie was nothing if not determined. When you got to her age, it was too late to let nerves stand in the way. There were too few opportunities, too few hours left. Unfortunately, when she had walked into the library 15 minutes later, it was to discover that all the machines had been pre-booked. All the bravado had been knocked out of her. For a moment, she had been confused, knocked off balance, but before she had time to leave, the young librarian, Will, had introduced himself. He had been quite insistent on her trying out.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?